cool. So it's actually just me. Gage is filming over here.
Sidekick.
But yeah, well, first off, thank you for having me. It's great to be here. Thank you to Minglewood. Joe, thank you for having me out. Thank you to the whole guild. Little intro for who we are. My name's Steve. I'm the founder of Harbor Marketing Agency. And as Joe mentioned, we help distilleries, breweries, and wineries to increase tasting room sales. So quick little brag here just to show you guys that we know what we're talking about. We've helped Lost Ark Distillery to increase revenue 40% year over year. We've 4x'd their tour bookings in 2 months. Caribbean Moonshine is a Orlando-based distillery. We've doubled their revenue in 6 months. Jep the Creed, based in Kentucky, we've consistently helped them achieve a 4 to 7x return on ad spend on Meta at any given point in time. And we do this for a number of other breweries and distilleries and wineries. So I want to kick things off here with a couple questions. If this can. So just to get a lay of the land, show of hands, how many people believe they have a good product? Right, everybody's hands should be up. Awesome. How many people are doing over $1 million in tasting room revenue annually? Okay, cool. A little bit less hands, nothing wrong with that. How many people know of another distillery with a just okay product, but they're doing more in revenue than you are, or they at least appear busier than you are? Show of hands. Couple hands. Okay, cool. So the takeaway there is there's more to this than just product. Yes, your product is important. I will never say that your product is not important. However, marketing is a big factor in this. So that's why the title of today's presentation is 15 viral TikTok dances you must know to grow your tasting room sales. Just kidding. Now, what we're going over today is a simple and effective marketing framework to grow your tasting room sales. We're mainly going to focus on Facebook and Instagram advertising, and it's all going to start with laying a strong foundation, then getting email marketing and SMS set up, and then Facebook and Instagram ads are basically going to be the gas that you add to the fire to make this whole thing run. So the way that we look at this, there's basically 3 phases here. Building a strong foundation. Strong foundation basically means great product, great customer experience, great website, and great content. That's kind of the first step to make this whole thing work. Next, we have email marketing and SMS. So we need a way to collect emails. We need automations in place to make sure that, basically if we're collecting emails with an offer, we're delivering what we're promising. And we need a sending strategy to make sure that we're staying on top of things, communicating with our list, and getting our message out there on a regular basis. So once you do that, you have a strong foundation laid, you have email marketing and SMS set up, then we're going to sprinkle in paid advertising. And again, that's what kind of helps us add some gas to the fire here. So we're going to start with building a strong foundation. Now, as I mentioned before, everything starts with a great customer experience. We can get people in the door. We can put your message out there, but great marketing is not going to make up for a bad product, a poor customer experience. People are coming into the tasting room and they don't like the product, or it's just a mess, or the staff is rude or whatever. They're not going to come back. You can't build a business off that, and no amount of marketing or clever messaging or eye-catching imagery or video is going to fix that. So that's foundational element number 1, great customer experience. I wanted to add this next part in because this is particularly applicable to distilleries. Again, we work with a lot of breweries and wineries as well, and for them it's more about just getting walk-ins into the tasting room, telling people about it, and just basically being like, hey, come on in, this is going to be awesome, it's going to be a great time, come and hang out and drink some beer, drink some wine. We find that for distilleries, people are looking for more of an experience. So yes, walk-ins will happen. Yes, we do allocate a certain percentage of the marketing budget towards generating walk-ins. However, if we add in tours and classes and events, we find that the overall performance of your marketing campaigns tends to increase quite a bit. So, not everybody can do tours. Sometimes the distillery space is not large enough. If that's the case for you, I would recommend adding in classes. That's what we did for Caribbean Moonshine. They were just relying on walk-ins, and we were like, hey, let's mix in some cocktail classes here. And that is now one of the cornerstones of their marketing strategy. So tours, classes, and events, if you're not doing any of those, I would recommend mixing those in, because that is basically just another revenue channel that you can add in for your entire marketing engine. Last thing I would add here is offer food. I know that sometimes that can be tricky, and you don't necessarily have to offer food in-house, but we've just found from all of the distilleries and breweries and wineries that we work with across the board, there is a clear line of differentiation in performance from the brands that offer food in the tasting room versus those that don't. Customers, if they're gonna choose somewhere to hang out for the day, they want to have something to eat. They wanna, if they're gonna travel to go to your tasting room, it has to be worth their while. They don't wanna go and, be there for like 45 minutes, get hungry, and then have to drive away and find something to eat. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in-house. One of the things that Lost Ark Distillery does, who's one of our clients, is they don't offer it in-house, but they have a QR code on every single table that basically people can scan. It pulls up the menu of the local pizza place down the street, and pizzas can get ordered directly to the tasting room. So they just set up a partnership with one of the local pizza places around them, and that has been fantastic for them. Next is a good website. So this is another foundational element. I find that with distilleries and breweries and wineries, I think people tend to overcomplicate the website. They feel like they need to include everything and anything, and they end up just throwing a whole bunch of information on their website. There's these massive walls of text that nobody reads. The imagery is blurry and pixelated, and it's just kind of a mess. So my recommendation with building a strong website is keep it simple and easy to navigate. Generally speaking, there are a couple of reasons people are on a distillery website. They want to know who you are, what you're about. That should be on your homepage. They want to know what kind of spirits and cocktails you're offering. Do you serve non-alcoholic drinks as well? Do you serve any other, drinks besides spirits? So that can all be on your homepage, as well as, location and hours and stuff like that. If you offer tours, classes, and events, that should be another page in the navigation of your website that they can click to. They should be able to go to that page, book directly from that page. You should have some booking software attached to that where they can schedule that. If you offer events, that can be a separate page, and then you can have a contact page. And so the idea there, the principle behind this, is the path of least resistance to purchase always wins. That's kind of what we try to preach at Harbor. So by making all of this information on your website easily accessible, easy to find, you're decreasing the path of resistance to getting someone to actually find out the information that they need and come visit your tasting room. The middle one here is high quality imagery. This is a huge sin that I see a lot of breweries and distilleries and wineries make. You go on their websites, and again, it's just blurry imagery, pixelated, just doesn't look professional. This is an absolute must. So I would encourage everybody to do an audit of their website when you get home. Be honest with yourself. Does your website look professional? Do you have high quality imagery, or is it taken off an iPhone and kind of pixelated and looks blurry? This is an absolute must, because your website is essentially the foundational element for the rest of your marketing, and the rest of your marketing will not perform as well if your website looks amateur. So if you have to hire a professional photographer to get this done, do it. It's worth it. And the last part I would add here is that it's easier for an amateur web designer to build a professional looking website with high quality imagery than it is for an experienced web designer to build a high quality website with terrible blurry imagery. So this is a huge priority. And last one here goes without saying, make sure your website is free from typos and errors. Keep it professional. Cool. So we have good content. This is the final foundational element. So does anybody see anything wrong with this picture up here? Getting a couple nods. A lot of, and I blurred out which distillery this is. It's nobody in here. They're not even in this state. I just wanted to give an example of what a lot of social content looks like in this space. So what you'll see is that this is just basically a bunch of text overlays and graphics showcasing the upcoming events that they have. This is fine. You can do this every now and then. It should not be your entire content strategy. You know, at best, when people see stuff like this, they know, you know, what the event is, when it is, and, you know, that's pretty much it, where it is maybe. It's not exciting though, it's not entertaining. And people go on social media to be excited and educated and entertained. And so your content strategy needs to reflect that. So, a couple recommendations for content. So one of the things you can do is answer questions your customers might have in a fun and unique way. This first one is an example from something that we did recently. You know, we hear this all the time from distilleries and breweries and wineries. Everybody's like, oh, the younger generation doesn't drink as much. How am I gonna get the kids to drink my alcohol? And, you know, I could just sit at my desk and make a video about that, and that would be one way to do it, but it wouldn't be exciting, it wouldn't be entertaining, and people probably wouldn't watch it. So we took that question and just answered it in a more entertaining and fun way. We actually went down to Towson University, which is a college near us. We found kids who were over 21 years old, and we asked them, would you be likely to go to a brewery, distillery, or winery? We recorded their responses, and we clipped it together and made a video out of it. And that video did really well because it's different, it's entertaining, it's, you know, it's live action stuff from the real world. It's not just me sitting at my desk and being like, no, don't worry, kids still drink, you're fine. Next one here, and by the way, for that last one, obviously that's an example for us as a marketing agency, but you can apply this to your distilleries. So for example, you know, let's say that there's a question that you know that your customers have about cocktails or about spirits. You know, maybe you go around and just survey your staff about their take on that question. Maybe you survey your customers about it. There's a million ways to do it, but you gotta get creative and think outside the box here, and that will make for much more exciting educational content. Another example here, Lost Ark Distillery. As you can see, they're doing a rum tasting tutorial. So Brad from Lost Ark Distillery, awesome dude. He's sitting in his distillery, and basically, if you watch the video, he is just showing you how to taste rum and the process behind it, and you know how to let it like pass through your palate and all that good stuff. Adds value. It's very educational, very entertaining, and it's different. It's not just a text overlay, or it's not just another picture of your cocktail or you know one of your bottles and with a caption that just says like, "Hey, come on in this Friday." Tattersall Distillery. They're not a client of ours, but I do follow them and I think they do an awesome job. They do Friday cocktail recipes. Every single Friday there's a video showing how to make a cocktail with one of their spirits. So it's kind of, you know, again, tutorial focused. Involve your customers in your marketing. So another example from our end, we have a podcast called The Beverage Biz, and we have, you know, who would be our potential customers, which are brewery, distillery, or winery owners. We invite them on our podcast and just interview them about what it's like to scale a tasting room, what it's like to operate a tasting room. And the reason that this is so effective is, one, they're more likely to share it when they're a part of it. And we know that, you know, distillery, brewery, winery owners tend to follow each other, so when that gets shared, more people find out about us. It works the same way for you guys, so, you know, your customers all follow each other. If you include them in your marketing, they're gonna be more likely to share it, you're gonna get more reach. The other thing that this does is it kind of builds some brand loyalty, so people are loyal to things that they're a part of. So, you know, when we include someone on our podcast, suddenly like, you know, we're kind of like their best friend, it's awesome. You guys can do this. Let's say you have a, you know, question of the day that you're asking. Maybe it's, hey, what's your favorite cocktail? As people are coming into your tasting room, you can be like, hey, do you guys want to be in a social media video? We just want to interview you real quick. What's your favorite cocktail? Or what's your favorite, you know, spirit that you've had here? Take all those videos, clip them together, make a video out of it, and then those people are going to be likely to share it, and you're just going to find that you're going to get more reach, it's going to be more engaging. If you really want to get creative here and go outside the box, check out RAR Brewing. They do a lot of funny seasonal videos. So RAR Brewing, it's Halloween right now. They have all these funny videos of like all these famous, murderers, for lack of a better word, that basically run around their brewery in masks. Like they have like Jason up there. And they just kind of make funny videos about, Halloween and the season, and it's really funny and really engaging. So you don't have to use these exact ideas. These are just examples, but the takeaway here is get creative with your content. Start thinking outside the box. Do something other than what every other distillery is doing, which is text overlays with their events, photos of their cocktails, photos of their bottles. That's fine. I'm not saying you can't do that stuff. You can mix it in every now and then, but if that is your entire content strategy, it's just not going to stand out, and you're not going to see a lot of traction from your organic social media.
I got a question.
Sure.
If you get the customers involved, do you think you have to sign a release?
That's a good question. I would say no. Like, if they agree to it verbally, I don't think you have to. I guess if you want to be safe about it, you can, but we haven't ran into that issue. Good question. Cool. Okay, so that's the foundational piece of this. So after all that, you have a good product, you have a great customer experience, you are offering tours and classes, you have food, you have a great website, you have great content. All of that is taken care of. Now we want to get email marketing and SMS in the mix. So the reason that email marketing and SMS is important is because email marketing and SMS allows us to maximize the opportunity from all of the traffic that we're about to drive onto your website from paid advertising. So in order to get started with email marketing, we need a way to collect emails. There's two ways that we do that. First is through website pop-ups. So when people come onto your website, basically we want a pop-up to show up, and that pop-up is attached to an offer. That offer might say, hey, want to get 20% off your tour? Depending on your state, I'm not sure what the laws are in Ohio, but if you can discount alcohol, we've done that too. We've done free flights and stuff like that in exchange for their email address. We'll also do the same thing with Facebook lead ads. So same concept, you attach an offer to the opt-in process, except rather than collecting their phone number and email directly on the website, you can actually collect it directly in an ad through a Facebook lead ad. So that's step one. Once we collect their email and phone number, we need to build out automations. So automations are basically a series of emails that happen after some sort of triggering event. In this case, the triggering event is someone opts into your email list. So there's two email automations that we like to build. The first is a lead conversion automation. That is a fancy way of saying that it's a series of emails designed to convert leads into customers. And basically the way that we'll set this up is when someone signs up for your email list, they opt in, there's presumably an offer that they're opting into the email list for. So let's say it's, in this case, free flight. We're going to send them an email immediately being like, hey, here's your free flight, go to the distillery now and take advantage of this. And we'll usually give them a code that they can tell the bartender and walk up, and the bartender knows that, and they'll be like, okay, cool, here's your free flight. Day two, we'll send them another email that might feature some reviews or testimonials, basically being like, hey, all of our customers are having a great time at our tasting room. You would probably have a great time too. Come on in, use that code, check us out. Day three, similar thing, we're just kind of hitting them over the head. You want to set this up in a way where they're getting an email every single day for the first couple days. The reason that you set it up that way is that there is a direct correlation between recency of opting in and likelihood to purchase. So somebody that signed up for your email list today is much more likely to actually come in and be a customer than somebody that signed up for your email list 6 months ago and hasn't engaged with you ever since. So for that reason, we're just hitting them over the head over and over and over for the first couple days, and hopefully they do show up to the tasting room. The next automation that we like to include is a post-purchase automation. Post-purchase automation is exactly what it sounds like. After someone purchases, that is also when they're most likely to purchase again. So we want to cross-sell them and upsell them on various products or services. Now this varies depending on how your distillery is set up and what you offer. But an example of this is if someone comes in for a tour, we want to send them an email that's like, hey, if you enjoyed your tour, don't forget to buy some bottles on our site. If someone bought some bottles on your site, hey, hope you enjoyed those bottles. Why don't you come in for a tour? Or why don't you come in for a class so you can actually learn how to make cocktails out of those? So depending on how that's set up, you want to set up automation so that you're constantly upselling and cross-selling people. Finally, we have a sending strategy. So email campaigns are different from automations. Automations just go to the people who recently triggered that event, whether that's signing up for your email list or that's purchasing. Campaigns are going to everybody. So campaigns are going to your entire list. Generally speaking, what we try to do is send at least one email a week. So that's 4 emails per month. And we break those up between graphic emails and plain text emails. So you'll see the graphic one on the left there. We send those to our graphic designer. You can make these in Canva if you like. These look, professional, kind of high quality. We try to make these aesthetically pleasing and pretty. Plain text emails, they're kind of ugly, but they work really well. So we mix them in. The idea behind plain text emails is they look like a regular email. They don't look like marketing, so that little marketing red flag is not going up for people, and they're not just going to, send your email to the trash. We mix these in about half the time, and we find that oftentimes plain text emails like these have higher click-through rates than graphic emails. So we try to include these about every other email. Now, finally, we have SMS campaigns. One of the key takeaways that I want everybody to walk away from this with, if you're not doing SMS, start doing SMS, please. You will not regret it. SMS is an invaluable asset for your business if you can do it the right way. And the way that you do it is you just ask for the phone number as you're collecting the email, so ask for both together. The reason that SMS is so effective is because, with email marketing, we're looking at like 40% open rates. With SMS, texting, we're looking at 90 to 95% open rates. People don't open every single email that they get, but everybody opens their texts. So generally, the way that we approach this is SMS is really effective for filling up last-minute events. An example of this, we were doing this for Lost Ark Distillery, and it was a rainy Saturday. It was just terrible weather. Nobody was going to come in that day. It was just like disgusting outside. And we were like, hey, we've been building up this SMS list. Why don't we use this as an opportunity to test out a new strategy here? So we came up with this campaign, Lost Ark Distilling Co., rainy days equals 50% off draft cocktails, today only at Lost Ark. Share code RainyDay50 with the bartender, cheers. It was packed like an hour later. So the way that this works is if you build up your SMS list, let's say you build it up to 5,000 people in your local area, you get like a 1% conversion rate on that from sending out that offer. That's 50 people that come into your tasting room. So really, really effective. One last tip with SMS. You'll notice that the way that it's phrased looks kind of ugly, but that's intentional. You always want to include your brand name in the first piece of that message, because this is going to come from a random number that's not saved in their phone. So if you just dive right into the offer right away, like if you just say rainy days equals 50% off draft cocktails, people are going to think it's junk because they're not going to know who it's from. So you always start out with like, Lost Ark Distilling, rainy days equals 50% off. Echo Spirits, rainy days equals 50% off. Whatever your distillery name is, that goes first. Cool, okay. So, you have a good product. Have a good tasting room experience. You're doing tours and classes. You offer food. You have a great website. You're doing great content. You're building your email list, you're building your SMS list, you are having automation set up, when leads come in, there's an automation in place. When purchases happen, you're upselling and cross-selling, you're sending out regular SMS campaigns. All that is amazing, and it will give you a boost in sales, but not that much of a boost in sales without paid ads. So paid ads are like the gasoline that you add to the fire that makes the entire system work. Now, before I dive in here, you might be asking, I spent all this time telling you to, run around the tasting room with a Halloween mask on and, get really creative and exciting with your content. Why can't you just scale up your tasting room that way? And the answer to that is you can, it's just a lot harder. So if you try to reach all the new people with just organic content, unfortunately it just doesn't work the way that it used to. These platforms are a lot more competitive than they used to be because there are a lot more businesses on these platforms today than there were like 10 years ago. So in order to get the reach that you need from just organic posts, you basically have to rely on every single thing that you post, like going viral, and not only going viral, but going viral specifically in your local area. Because if you get a follower from like 10 states away, it doesn't really do you any good. So the way that I look at organic content nowadays is it's essentially a way to, rather than reach new people, I almost look at it as a conversion mechanism to persuade people who are already aware of your distillery to actually pay you a visit. So when people click on an ad, they're seeing you for the first time, they click on that ad, they're gonna check out your website, but they're also gonna check out your content. They're gonna check out your Instagram and check out your Facebook. And if you have really engaging, exciting content, that's gonna get them to be like, I love this brand, this is awesome. I'm gonna share this with my friends, I'm gonna tell people about this. I have to check them out because they're doing something different. I wanna give them a shot. So organic is kind of a conversion mechanism. That's the way that we like to look at it. Paid ads are what get you in front of new people. And by the way, when I say paid ads, I'm talking specifically about Meta, Facebook and Instagram ads. So as we're launching ads, there's two things that you want to have in place as you do that. First is run your ads through Meta Ads Manager. Do not boost a post. How many people in here are boosting posts? One or two hands. Okay. Thought it would be more, but that's good. Run your ads through Meta Ads Manager. So when you boost a post, which is basically like you click that little blue button on Facebook or Instagram that says boost post, you throw a couple ad dollars behind it, you're basically throwing your money into a black hole and you're making Mark Zuckerberg richer for no reason. The reason that boosting posts don't work is because, one, you're not going to have as much creative flexibility as if you were running your ads directly through Meta Ads Manager. Two, you're not going to have as many targeting capabilities. And three, you're not going to have as advanced analytics behind boosting a post, so you don't really know if it's working or not. Meta Ads Manager, you do know. The second thing that is a prerequisite to launching ads is have your Meta Pixel installed. That probably sounds like I'm speaking Japanese to a lot of people. Meta Pixel is basically a snippet of code that you install on your site, and it allows you to track who is coming to your site, what they're doing on your site, if they're going to your tour page, if they're actually making a booking, what types of people are coming to your site, and it sends all that data back to Meta Ads Manager and allows you to optimize your campaigns more efficiently. Very important. So those two things are an absolute must. Now, once you launch the ads, this is the overall strategy that we like to use. So we break this down into top of funnel and retargeting. Top of funnel is going after new people who have never heard of you before, as far as we know. We know that they probably have never heard of you before because we have that Meta Pixel installed on your website, and we can exclude people that have been to your website. So in top of funnel, we're targeting people that have never been to your website and they have never engaged with you on social media in any way, shape, or form. That means they've never liked anything, they've never commented on anything, they've never shared anything. So for all intents and purposes, they have no idea that you exist, but they are within, let's say, a 20-mile radius of your location. Now, top of funnel is how we introduce your brand to the world. So the creative in top of funnel is generally like, hey, here's who we are, here's what we do, come on and check us out. Most people stop here, and that's where they go wrong. So when you boost a post, for example, you're getting your ad in front of new people, sure, but most people do that, and then they rely on that ad to be the thing that gets people into the tasting room. And unfortunately, that's just not the way that consumer behavior actually works. Most people do not just see an ad and then they show up in the tasting room the next day. Most people need to go through some kind of a customer journey. So they need 10, 15, 20, 25 touch points before they finally say, hey, you know what, let me check this place out. Most people are just ignoring everything that comes their way until you actually get in front of them enough times to grab their attention and persuade them to pay you a visit. So for that reason, we include retargeting campaigns. Retargeting campaigns are the opposite of top of funnel. In retargeting campaigns, we're delivering ads specifically to people that have been to your website and have engaged with you on social media. That is our way of facilitating those additional touch points needed to actually take them through a comprehensive customer journey and get them to end up in your tasting room and spending money with you. Now, I want to wrap up here with 3 different types of ads that we like to use. These can be used interchangeably in top of funnel and retargeting. The only difference is the context of the messaging matters. So if you're using these types of ads in a top of funnel campaign, the messaging is going to be more like, you know, hey, we're Mingle Distillery, or we're Echo Spirits, here's what we do, here's who we are, come check us out. If you're using these types of ads in retargeting, the messaging is going to be more along the lines of like, hey, you haven't booked a tour yet, how about 20% off your tour? Or, hey, we saw you were checking us out, you know, how about a free flight when you come in? And you can get creative with the offers that you use, but the context of the messaging should be based on where that person is at in the customer journey. So, with that said, ad type number 1, booking ads. Booking ads are basically ads that we run to get people to book a tour, a class, or an event. So the way that we set this up, this part is very important. In your campaign settings in Meta Ads Manager, you're going to use a sales objective campaign optimized for purchases. That is a fancy way of setting up your campaign and basically telling Facebook to go out and deliver your ads to people that are actually likely to book a tour and not just click on your ad and then never do anything. These types of ads will not work if you don't set it up that way, so very important. Overall strategy here is we're trying to drive tours and class bookings, drive traffic directly to your booking page from these ads. So you're not driving to your home page, you're not driving to your About Us page, you're not driving to your Contact Us page, you're driving to the page where your booking software is already installed and they can go in and just book a tour. From a creative standpoint here, we find that text overlays work very, very well. You'll see those 2 images on the left there. Generally, we're just using some kind of engaging image or video, and then there's going to be a text overlay that shows what they can expect when they come on in. Next, we have event response ads. So if you run events at your distillery, for example, one of our clients is doing like a moonshine mixology event. There's a bike night. Different events that distilleries run. For these ads, you're doing an engagement objective campaign optimized for event responses, and the goal is essentially to get RSVPs to your event. The thought process here is that the more people that RSVP to your event, so they can actually click your ad and click like, I'm interested in going to this, the more people that RSVP to your event, the more people are actually likely to show up to your event. So it doesn't guarantee that they're going to come, but it allows you to basically confirm like, hey, this many people said that they're interested in going. So these work very, very well for getting crowds to events. Targeting here is going to be, and the targeting here kind of applies to all the ads that I'm talking about. About 20 miles, 20-mile radius from your location. This can vary depending on your specific location. So we have some distilleries and breweries and wineries that maybe are a bit more rural and 20 miles is not enough, or maybe they need to expand their targeting, or maybe they're kind of off the beaten path from a major city and they like to include that targeting of that major city in their settings. So that is adjustable. You can target based on what makes sense for your distillery, but generally speaking, we start with 20 miles and then adjust from there. And ad creative for text overlay, or for event response ads, we generally find text overlays work here as well. Finally, we have traffic and brand awareness ads, and I just realized I'm about 5 minutes over time, so I'll try to wrap this up. We have traffic and brand awareness ads. So these are where we kind of have some fun. These are a little different. We're using a traffic or brand awareness objective. And the strategy here is basically to just drive clicks or create a memorable ad for people. These are 2 examples from breweries that we've done. We have one brewery that is kind of like a conspiracy theory themed brewery, and they're kind of quirky and fun, and so we created this ad where it's like this guy, I don't know what he's doing, but he's in he's in some kind of like investigation room, and it says, "Did the moon landing even happen?" We have another brewery. They have a beer called the Doctor Says I'm Hazy, and it's like this 1950s doctor holding a beer, and it's giving a thumbs up. So with these ads, what you'll find is that there's not a great way to actually attribute revenue to these ads, because it's brand awareness. It's just about getting people to remember these ads. But what we find is that our clients tell us that when we run these ads, they have a bunch of people that come into the tasting room and walk in, and they're like, "Man, I've been seeing your ads everywhere. Like your ads are awesome. They're so funny." So these work. We don't put a ton of budget behind these because we can't attribute revenue to them, but we like to sprinkle them into the mix because they do tend to work pretty well. So with that said, I was planning on doing some Q&A here. I know I'm over time, so I want to be respectful of time. But if you do have any questions, Gage and I will be around the rest of the day. Gage, if you want to raise your hand. And feel free to chat with us. Happy to chat. We're friendly guys and happy to answer any questions you have. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.